Welcome to the Becoming Your Best Version podcast. I am your host, Maria Leonard Olson. I'm a civil litigation attorney in Washington, D.C. I am an author, a two-time TEDx speaker, um, mentor to women in recovery, journalist, podcaster, and I had a radio show in Washington, D.C. for um, almost 10 years. I would greatly appreciate it if you would like my TED Talks. You can get to all of my material by going to marialeonardolson.com. Links to my books, my events coming up, my articles that I write for various publications, and more. So, also, please review and subscribe to this podcast to help it gain some more visibility because I think the inspirational women on this podcast can help all of us. So, I started this podcast 6 years ago because my work in the realm of women in midlife brought me into contact with inspiring, amazing women who inspired me and I think will inspire you. So today, joining us from Ottawa is Helen Hirsh Spence. She's a later in life Canadian entrepreneur, speaker, and age equity advocate. She is an ageism and longevity specialist, leader navigating the demographic shift, a TEDx speaker, a global speaker, author, age provocateur, mindset shifter, older women older and multi-generational workforce expert and founder of Top 60 Over 60. Top 60 Over 60 is a social enterprise advancing age inclusion, longevity literacy, and healthy aging across workplaces and communities. Helen consults with businesses, communities, and individuals to help them become age ready for their longer lifespans. Her engaging TEDx talk on embracing a longevity mindset was among the most viewed globally in the month it aired. Helen urges us in the talk to reject the long-standing negative perspective on aging and instead to embrace our later years as a time filled with growth, promise, and opportunity. After all, she says, aging is the ultimate triumph of living. So, top 60 over 60 advances longevity, literacy by providing tools and training to eliminate age bias and promote age diversity. They take a multi-pronged approach, and there's so much that they're doing, which you can find on their website. They have original and curated resources of interest to business and organizations and individuals, a monthly newsletter, online resources. There's so much there. And she has a new book called Reset, Making the Most of the Rest of Your Life, which reframes longevity as a triumph, not a burden, and offers a bold roadmap for thriving in a century-long life. It challenges the outdated notion that age is merely a number and introduces a richer understanding of what it means to grow older in this century. It exposes the hidden architecture of ageism throughout our society and dismantles the myth of inevitable decline. More importantly, it moves from insight to action. You can learn more at top60over60.com. You can watch her TEDx talk on YouTube. You can subscribe to her newsletter. She's very active on LinkedIn. And all of this is in the show notes. So welcome, Helen.
Thank you for inviting me, Maria. It's a pleasure to be here.
So is Reset your first book?
I've published a number of things as collaborations with others, but no, this is the first book, and I'm co-authoring it with Deborah Yearwood, with whom I worked for years, about 10 years ago. But we continue to work on this together. So yeah, it's my first real big book, and it's been a masterpiece of time and energy, and hopefully it will be well received because it's specifically for the audience that you're talking to. and I'm
Yeah.
provocateur. Yeah. Mhm.
Wonderful. What made you decide to, I know you have a really great newsletter, but what made you decide to take on a book?
Well, we started years ago, to tell you the truth. What the initiation was that we had designed a program. We had gotten a grant from the Ontario Centre of Workforce Innovation and Queen's University, and the intention was to see if the entrepreneurial mindset that we introduced in this program could help people overcome their internalized ageist beliefs. And we found that it was successful, and people really changed their thinking about what it meant to grow older and started to see that, in fact, they had, internalized all those negative feelings and sayings about not being able to learn anything new, and that, getting older was just decline. It really changed the way in which they saw the world. And so we thought, well, it was so successful, why don't we try to share it with more people? So that really was the what was the instigation for creating the book.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love your reset that, I mean, your reframing that
Yeah,
this is an opportunity. I mean, what a gift. Every day we wake up is a
I know.
gift.
That's right. Yeah. It's
So,
so true.
and
It doesn't make sense that we champion living longer or longevity, and yet we put older people in a box and make them invisible, societally. So we've got a lot of work to do. And the biggest job I think we have is to convince individuals as they grow older to look forward to these years instead of dreading those years. And that seems to be the common narrative. And, people say with disdain, oh, he's an old man or she's an old lady, instead of being a bit more respectful because of the life experience and whatnot. So, I mean, it's a cultural thing. I get it. North America, we're very, very disdainful of our elders, unfortunately. We've lost some of that, um, some of the indigenous beliefs and culture, and actually from other cultures around the world that do have that um, understanding and respect and care for their uh, older generations and
yeah,
families. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. My mother is from the Philippines, where those who are older in that society are deemed wiser and
that's
respected. And yeah,
it's
it's sad
it
in
is
the
it's very sad.
yeah.
It's very sad because we lose all of that knowledge and skills and mostly life experience. And we all both know that, the longer we live, the more trials and tribulations we go through, the more resilient we become out of necessity. And so we can help other generations. And that's the other thing I think that's really missing in our society is, we've hived away. In the book, I talk about age siloing. We also have spatial siloing. We put older people in homes, and so they're hived off from society, and we've lost that connection. And there are reasons why we've established those places, and some of the reasons are certainly valid. However, as a norm, it would be much more beneficial to families if they could stay connected so that younger generations could learn from the older generations could care for some of the younger ones as they got older. There's so many reasons why we should not have created, for instance, retirement cities like Sun City in the 1960s. At the time, it sounded great, right? It was the first generation to live longer than 60. But we've come a long way since then, and now we recognize the fact that what we've done is actually lost a component of our society that could have helped us move forward differently.
Completely agree. So tell our audience about your top 60s signature program,
Well,
Reset for Business.
yeah, it was reset.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, what happened is that COVID intervened. So
Mm.
um, the whole purpose of creating these programs was either for individuals or for businesses, and it was to help uh, uh, people understand more about how ageism interferes with, reality. And now so now we're focusing much more on longevity and longevity literacy. And by that, I'm referring to the fact that people are not ready. We still have this notion that, it's learn, earn, retire. We've got dates like retirement should take place around 65. Well, the truth of the matter is that we have this longevity dividend, these extra 20 to 30 years, thanks to medical advances, technology, education, you know, um, sanitation, workplace safety, and so on. We're living so much longer. It's ridiculous to continue to normalize retirement at 65. We have a multi-stage life. And so when we retire individuals at a certain age or push them out, which is what we have been doing, we don't realize that there are no younger people coming up behind us. We have a demographic shift. Fertility rates are really down. So I try to help raise awareness about this demographic shift and the fact that in both Canada and the United States, we are way below the birth replacement rate, which is 2.1 babies per woman. In the United States, it's something like 1.6. In Canada, it's 1.3. We are not replacing ourselves. And with the new immigration issues, people are not coming to replace other people the way they were. So fertility rates are down, immigration is down, people are retiring. We need to solve some of these issues in workplaces, and that has to do with talent shortage, right?
Mhm.
And skill shortage. Instead of retiring people who are going to live another 20 or 30 years, let's give them other off ramps or other possibilities, such as, you know, job sharing or part-time or project work. Let's not lose the expertise that they have gained over many, many years, and put them out to pasture. In Besides the fact we need the tax base in order to support them, for uh, pensions and so on. So there are all sorts of reasons why we need to keep people employed. And then with longer lives, people need to stay in work situations so that they can afford to live either the way they used to or the way they want to. So, I mean, there are all sorts of age readiness factors that businesses are not even paying attention to yet. And then suddenly it's going to hit them. So
Yes.
trying to get them aware that they have to start thinking differently.
Absolutely. And I love how your website has resources for educators, businesses, tools people can use, policy research, and professional and personal development. That's all very helpful stuff for
Thank
the
you.
discourse on aging. Um, yeah, you have a blog, you have events.
Well, I've
So,
shifted a lot of that, I have to say, Maria, to LinkedIn now. I have a
okay.
newsletter, and you can sign up at the bottom of the page, but it's called Age Sense. And I write about, instead of sending out a MailChimp newsletter and cluttering up people's inboxes, I moved on to LinkedIn. And most of the people that I'm trying to attract anyway tend to be there. I'm not big on social media, but I am on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
that's where you can find me most of the time.
So tell our listeners about your TEDx talk.
That was so. I mean, I should tell your listeners because if they're listening and not looking, they don't see how old I am. So I'm seven, I'm turning 77 this summer, and so I had a career in education. I was a high school principal and head of a girls' school, and I was passionate always about trying to maximize the potential of students and staff. And that's the through line, I guess, in my life. I've always tried to do the best I can to help others. And now, really, what I've just switched the focus from younger to older, and looking at trying to maximize the potential of older adults by helping them understand about about aging and ageism. So, um, uh, I lost the question. What was your question? I can't remember.
I wanted to hear about your experience as a TEDx speaker.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. So I always admired people who were doing TEDx's. Oh yeah, okay. And one of the things to get the message out,
Imagine
I
being able
thought,
to build an app with your name on
Sorry,
it.
I was clicking on your TEDx talk.
uh,
Okay,
you did, not me.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, please take a look at it. It's called Embrace Age with a Longevity Mindset. So the TEDx talk was a test for myself. I had to memorize. I had to write something first of all. It was a process. I had to be accepted. I had to write something that would be meaningful. Then I had to rehearse it. And because we weren't allowed in this particular TEDx situation to use any slides or anything, I had to know it by heart. And I was just about 75, and I thought, if I can still do this, then that'll be good for my head, for my mind, for cognitive, um, you know, improvement. And I was able to do it. And it was well received. So I was very grateful that I was given that opportunity, that I was selected among hundreds of people to do that. And, it's been great because it's inspired a lot of people, I think. I get comments years later, right into my inbox saying, I had no idea that there were so many benefits to growing older. You know,
Oh,
so, and that makes it all worthwhile. But that's what the TEDx talk was intended to do, was to help people understand that the research, and everything that I do is research based. The research is very compelling that if in fact you think positively about growing older, you're going to heal faster. You will decline mentally much more slowly, if at all. You will live 7.5 years longer. You just need to think differently about growing older. Embrace it, welcome it, and it does really make a huge difference. Everybody I know who says, "Oh well, I'm retired now. I'm going to play golf or tennis or, read newspapers all day long." Those are the people who don't do as well later in life. But those that are curious, that stay engaged, and social engagement is absolutely key. So finding communities with which you can, you know, uh, enjoy hobbies or discussions is really significant. And of course, lifestyle choices such as good nutrition and exercise to the extent that one can. Not everybody is as fortunate as I am to experience good health, but I really do work at it too. It's not like it comes easily. I mean, just before talking to you, we still have snow up here. I know this will air in July, but we're talking in March, and I just came back from cross country skiing with my dog, so that he'd get a walk. But I mean, I do that intentionally and thinking in terms of staying well enough to enjoy life to its fullest.
yeah, I completely agree. And when we were younger, I remember thinking certain characters on TV were so old and
Yeah,
they
me
were
too.
only in their 50s.
I know.
And now, of course, my perspective has changed being in my 60s. But I love the term you coined, longevity bonus, with all of us living probably a decade or two longer than previous generations, recent
Sure.
generations.
Yeah. 20 to
Yeah.
30 years, 20 to 30 years. So I don't know, you have children. I do too. My grandchildren, who are now 12, 10, and 7, they have a life expectancy on average of 100 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I
So,
mean, so everything has to change, Maria. Everything, all our systems are set up for, re stopping or looking at one job, one career, which is no longer the case. We know that for younger people. I mean, they have to have portfolio careers. But what we need to do is help your children and mine understand that unlike me, who had a career in education for over 35 years, they're going to have portfolio careers. And the jobs that exist now will not exist in the future because of AI and other interventions. We have to be open to new possibilities and we have to continue to learn. So, education can't be just front end loaded the way it is now. We have to go back to college, university, um, get certification, upgrade credentials and whatnot. That's going to all become the norm in the next uh, 10, 20 years. It has to, because nothing stays the same. And there's so much new information that replaces what we thought we knew conclusively that we're finding out isn't true. So we have to change, we have to shift, and we have to be open to those shifts. And that's really, so my message is as much for younger people as it is for older adults, you know, be open, be curious, get out of your comfort zone, you know, do things differently.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, that is so exciting. Is there a mandated retirement age in Canada?
No, there isn't. I mean, technically there isn't, but you know, some of the big consulting firms still say to their top executives, you know, you have to leave at 65. You can come back as a consultant, or you can stay here, but you're not going to be the top the president of the organization. There are a few places where things like that still exist, but technically there is no mandated retirement, and it's age discrimination. However, proving that is very difficult. And the statistics are frightening in terms of for the United States and Canada, especially for women, middle-aged women, you know, very often want to return to work after they've raised their children. They may have had a career before. They have a double whammy because of gendered ageism, which affects them. And as well as being out of the workforce for years. So
Yeah.
it takes women very often 2 or more years to get back into the workforce, whereas it takes men sometimes 6 months. But mostly men have the same difficulty as women. Um, you know, they're put out to pasture too. If they want to get back into a tech industry, even though they've been tech executives. I was speaking to somebody yesterday. Her husband's spent 40 years in tech, been the prime executive, shifted places in the United States, and now can't find work because they want just younger people. So,
Mm.
but it really does affect women a lot more than men.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can be bald and have a beer belly and you're distinguished as an older man. But if
Oh,
you have gray hair as a woman, you're invisible.
yeah. So how did you come up with the name Top 60 over 60?
Well, that's what I wanted to do when I started. All I wanted to do was host events to counter the top 30 under 30, top 40 under 40. I
Mhm.
thought all this expertise and brilliance, but I got sidetracked. So I'm still going to do that. It's just I haven't. So I wanted to host events where you'd have role models who are older that we could promote and help younger people understand that life doesn't end at 60. On the contrary. And as you know, if you're in your 60s, it's like adolescence all over again. You've got an sort of like a clean slate where you can start investing back into yourself in new and different ways. And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're reinventing themselves, or they're looking at side hustles or hobbies or things that they can do, and they're becoming entrepreneurs later in life. And that's actually what I did.
What has been your favorite decade so far?
Probably my 60s.
Yeah. Why?
Absolutely. Yeah. My 60s, I would say. I'm in my 60s, and it's not reflected in anything that you've said. I traveled all over the world. I speak 4 languages fluently, French, German, and Spanish. And so I wanted to use them. My husband doesn't like to travel as much. So I would volunteer. I joined organizations where I could either use my experience. So I traveled to the Arctic in Canada and worked in governance with a youth, with Inuit youth. I traveled to Bolivia and I worked with a Baha'i leadership team, a Baha'i leadership team at a university in Bolivia. I went to Honduras, worked in the tourism industry. I coached a principal in India about how to deal with girls in a um, in a school where it was co-ed, which isn't the norm in India. I was in Bhutan climbing because I really like to climb. I climbed Kilimanjaro with students in 2000 when I was in my late 50s. So
Wow.
I really loved to experience new places, and I also wanted to offset my carbon footprint. So I would always volunteer and then spend more time there so that I could get to know the culture a bit better. Was in Africa and Kenya. So I did all sorts of not-for-profit work. I worked with Jane Goodall for over 10 years
Oh my gosh.
as the chair and also as an exec member of her board here in Canada. So I
Wow.
mean, those were in my 60s. And at the end
Yeah.
of my 60s, I felt like I still had energy, but I was experiencing something that I had never understood before, and I was losing my confidence. It's then that I realized that I was experiencing ageist sentiments. I thought, oh,
Wow.
I'm too old. I can't do this. And started researching about aging and ageism and realized that what I was experiencing was really quite typical and was called internalized or self-directed ageism. That's what's spawned the top 60 over 60.
Wow. I love it. I think the work that you're doing is so important. And glad that you also collaborate with Ashton Applewhite, who does similar work in the US and who's been a guest on this podcast.
Now, I
And
don't, she's just my inspiration. I just,
okay,
I'd love to, I collaborate. She has an old school hub
yeah,
online. It's fantastic. I
yeah,
recommend everybody to go there and look at it. And she
yeah,
has office hours once a week, so you can talk with her and others, and
yes,
they're fascinating conversations.
absolutely. I've been to that. So just like I asked Ashton, I will ask you, what do you do, Helen, to become your best version?
I didn't prepare for this. I I really think that what I do is that I'm extremely curious. I ask a lot of questions, and um, and I'm open to new ideas, new movements, new shifts, and love probably being with every possible generation. I spent my life in schools. I was always surrounded by young people. They give me energy, and I love being with them, all ages. I was a high school principal, but then I was in a girls' school where they were 4-year-olds up to 19-year-olds. And then my staff were always all different ages too. So I surround myself with people with different perspectives, and I think that helps me stay kind of current, I guess.
Yeah, and growing and
Yeah,
learning
exactly.
continually, which is
Exactly.
so important to longevity.
It is. It's critical. Yeah, indeed.
So I encourage all of you to go to top60over60.com to listen to her TEDx talk, which people describe as the best feeling that it'll make you feel better about growing older. It is so encouraging and it just got so many views and likes and comments because it is so current and needed. So, Helen, I thank you for taking time to be on this show and applaud your work. It's really needed.
Thanks, Maria, and thank you for the opportunity to talk with you and with your listeners, who I hope can pick up a copy also when it comes out. It will be out in
Yes,
April of
it will
Reset,
be.
and
Get the book.
it's practical. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Maria.
Yeah, Reset will be available on Amazon and anywhere you get your books. I'm sure they can order it if they don't already have it. Thank you, Helen.
Thanks, Maria.